A young woman named Claire had recently moved into her very first apartment, a small but sunlit space that felt like freedom after years of shared dorms and temporary housing. It was quiet, peaceful, and all hers, but the silence often echoed too loudly. Something was missing. The idea had been growing in her heart for weeks. Maybe it was time to get a dog. Not just any dog. A playful, energetic puppy to bring laughter, movement, and warmth into her new life. A companion for morning walks and lazy Sunday cuddles. Someone to greet her at the door and fill the quiet spaces with joy. One crisp Saturday morning, Claire grabbed her jacket, locked her front door, and drove to the local animal shelter. Her heart beat with a mix of excitement and nervous energy. She pictured floppy ears, wagging tails, clumsy paws, a puppy full of life that would match her own fresh start. As Claire stepped into the bustling shelter, a chorus of barks and playful whines greeted her. Rows of kennels lined the hallway, each holding eager, bouncing puppies, their tails wagging like tiny propellers, tongues lolling out in excitement. Shelter volunteers welcomed her warmly, introducing her to one adorable candidate after another. There was Max, a golden retriever mix who wouldn't stop licking her hand. Luna, a fluffy husky pup with mismatched eyes and boundless energy. And Benny, a tiny beagle who yipped happily every time she bent down. Each one was charming, full of life, and exactly the kind of puppy she had imagined. Yet, as she moved from kennel to kennel, Claire felt a strange emptiness. The puppies were delightful, yes, but something didn't click. Their energy felt overwhelming rather than inspiring. She smiled politely, nodded at the volunteers, but her heart stayed quiet. Something deeper was missing, a connection, a sign. Just as Claire was about to move on to the next row of puppies, something pulled her gaze to a dimly lit corner of the shelter, a quiet space far from the playful chaos. There, tucked away in a small kennel, lay an old dog. He wasn't bouncing or barking. He didn't rush to the bars or beg for attention. He simply lay still, his head resting gently on his paws, his fur graying around the muzzle, eyes soft and deeply tired. There was something different about him, something that made her pause mid-step. Unlike the others, this dog didn't demand anything from her. Instead, he watched her quietly, his eyes meeting hers with an almost human expression. It wasn't sadness or desperation. It was understanding, a kind of silent recognition. He didn't need to move. He had already spoken without sound or gesture. Claire found herself walking toward him slowly, drawn by the calm gravity of his presence. Claire knelt down in front of the quiet kennel, her fingers curling around the cold metal bars as she leaned in to read the small, worn tag attached to the side. Charlie. Age, 12. Owner passed away. The words hit her harder than she expected. 12 years old, a senior. Claire glanced back at him. He hadn't moved much, still lying there in his corner with quiet dignity. But the moment their eyes met again, something shifted. Charlie pushed himself up slowly, his joints stiff, his body warm with time. And then, with a gentle steadiness, he walked toward her, no rush, no hesitation, and placed his head softly against the gate. Claire froze. Her heart swelled unexpectedly. She could feel the warmth of his fur through the bars, the weight of his silent trust. It wasn't the playful energy she'd imagined. It was deeper, quieter, real. It was as if Charlie wasn't waiting to be chosen. He was choosing her. As Claire continued to stroke Charlie's head through the bars, a gentle voice spoke beside her. A shelter staff member had approached, watching the quiet exchange with a knowing smile. "His name's Charlie," she said softly. "He's been here for a while now, almost 4 months." Claire turned to listen, still kneeling. The woman continued. "He came in after his owner passed away. They were together since he was a pup. It's been hard on him. He's calm, quiet, doesn't ask for much." Her tone was gentle, almost protective. "He's completely house-trained, good with people, and still enjoys short walks. But he's 12 now. Most visitors don't even stop by his kennel." Claire glanced back at Charlie, who hadn't moved, his head still resting where her hand had been. His presence was steady, comforting, like he was simply waiting. The volunteer added carefully, "He might only have a few good years left, maybe less. But they could be good ones, with the right person." Please don't feel pressured. We understand he's not what most people come looking for." Claire stood frozen, her fingers still curled loosely around the gate, watching as Charlie slowly turned away. He didn't whine or beg. He simply walked back to his bed in the corner of the kennel, the same way he must have done countless times before. With a quiet groan, he lay down, curling into himself, and rested his head on his paws once more. But before closing his eyes, he turned to glance back at her, not with hope or desperation, but with something far sadder, resignation. That single look hit her like a wave. Claire felt her throat tighten, her chest ache. It wasn't just pity she felt. It was connection, recognition. Something deep and unspoken passed between them in that glance. Something she couldn't explain, only feel. This wasn't the kind of excitement she thought she'd feel adopting a dog. It was something more sacred. It felt like fate. Without hesitation, Claire whispered to the staff member, her voice trembling, "He's coming home with me." The days that followed Charlie's adoption were quiet and gentle, just like him. At first, he moved slowly through the apartment, exploring each room with cautious steps. He didn't jump or bark, didn't cause any trouble. But each day, he began to open up a little more. A soft wag of his tail when Claire came home, a nudge of his nose against her hand during dinner, a deep sigh of contentment as he lay curled by her feet in the evening. By the end of the first month, Charlie had found his favorite spot on the rug near the balcony, where the sunlight poured in each morning. He began greeting Claire at the door with soft, happy eyes and a gently wagging tail. His pace was still slow, his joints stiff, but there was a warmth in his movement, a sense of trust. Claire realized that Charlie wasn't just settling in. He was healing, and so was she. In the quiet companionship of his presence, she found something she hadn't expected: peace. He didn't fill her life with noise and energy. He filled it with meaning. Charlie wasn't just her dog. He was her steady heart in a rushing world, her reminder to slow down and breathe. Years passed, and Charlie aged gracefully in the comfort of Claire's love. His muzzle turned whiter, his steps slower, but his spirit remained gentle and loyal. Their bond deepened with each passing season. Mornings started with quiet snuggles on the couch. Evenings ended with soft sighs as he curled beside her bed. Claire documented their life in photos. Charlie sleeping in the sun, sniffing flowers in the park, dozing with his head on her lap. Her home gradually filled with those moments, frozen in frames that told the story of quiet, steadfast love. Then one crisp autumn morning, Charlie didn't wake up. He had passed in his sleep, curled up in his favorite corner, as peacefully as he had lived. Claire held him for a long time, her tears falling silently into his fur. Later, she framed a photo of the day they met, the old dog behind the gate, choosing her. Beneath it, she wrote, "Asterisk, I came looking for a puppy, but I found a soulmate. Thank you for choosing me, Charlie. Asterisk,